Hello, welcome to today's session. In this session,
Morning, Mahal.
morning, we're going to speak about let's keep it light. Let's keep it friendly. Let's keep it welcoming. We dive too deep lately.
I wonder why.
Well, the ocean is big to explore, the abyss is dark, so at least the surface layer is full of light and biodiversity.
No, sometimes you go deep because you want to explore, but then you need to breathe also, so you need to surface a bit and then get more air and then dive deeper.
Okay.
Yeah,
Added bonus, I like you 10, so it's fine. Some vitamin D, it's positive for the podcast too.
yeah, because we don't have other choice to get that vitamin D.
Yeah.
How are you after the last episode?
I feel energized. I feel very positive. I really want to see how I can manipulate and twist the conversation so that I bring up deep topics, like faking them under the cover of the sugar coating of the lightheartedness. How are you feeling?
I'd say you really did a good job last time of like synthesizing and dissecting and bridging different ideas. And also the way you question is really good. No, last time I feel it was very insightful and reflective and deep. So I want to keep it light this time. So the topic I chose today is about our origins, our hometowns. I don't think I know everything about your hometown or you know about maybe. I don't know with your history, but how much you know about Philippines. So I think this is just a bit more unpacking of the good side and the bad side and the in-betweens of Italy and Philippines. And maybe some tips to traveling for our four followers. So yeah. Shall we start?
Let's do it. I'm curious to see.
Okay. First part is just introducing where you are, your hometown, and what is it known for. So I'll let you start.
Okay, so Italian cliche, Dario in Florence. Which part of Florence am I living in? It's called the Cascine del Riccio. Cascine del Riccio is a very funny name in Italian and in every language of the world, I guess, because it's like the hedgehog's farms. So every time that I come to my house, I have the feeling that I am playing like in a Sonic game in which like I'm riding my motorbike and I'm heading fast to my house. So I'm like Sonic the Hedgehog living in an Italian town. It's basically at the border between the municipality of Florence and the neighboring one that is called Impruneta. That for Italian people, it's famous for brick production. So it's like terracotta. Like for artsy people, it's like you think you are in a ghost movie in which you're crafting your pottery and your partner is hugging you from the back. It's that kind of feeling. Plus, you have the bonus of rolling hills of Tuscany, cypresses, vineyards. So it's like the compromise between the city vibe of Florence, which is a province town, but it still feels like a city, and the countryside. So that's the place where I'm at right now. But I think Gideon has much more to say about his big city life that's much more thrilling.
Mm, so I'd say two origins. One is where I was born from. It's called Tacloban City in the middle major island of the Philippines, which is Visayas, and the language there is Waray. And we've lived there until I was, I think, 4 or 5 years old because of the weather condition, the climate in that area. It's surrounded by waters. So Visayas is very divided into different islands and it's very prone to typhoons because there's less mountains that's protecting the land, and also like it's on the east side of the Philippines, so it's the Pacific Ocean, and like we welcome the typhoons with arms wide open. So our roofs fly every year. We have to renovate our houses every year, and also in the Visayas region, especially the typhoon prone area, fruits are so expensive because we need to like import, and sometimes farms get destroyed by the weather. So my family decided to just move down to the south, Davao City, because we have family on my dad's side that's living there, and we heard good news about the living condition. So my second, I'd say, hometown or origin is Davao City. It's located in the biggest major island of the Philippines, which is Mindanao. And Davao has best of both worlds, the mountains and also the beaches. So, and it's safer from typhoons because we have Mount Apo, the largest mountain volcano in the Philippines. And we have neighboring provinces also that's protecting us from there. Davao City is, I'd say, it's a mixture of different cultures. I really didn't get to know the ethnic tribes of Tacloban, but I know more about Davao. So there's the main three tribes, the Bagobo, the Manobo, and the Giangan tribes. And at the same time, because we're close to Indonesia, so we have like a large community of like Islam. But at the same time, we have the Catholic influences also. Yeah, it's very diverse there. When you mention Mindanao or Davao to people, especially to the northern people, usually they think Davao or Mindanao as like, oh, there's no electricity, there's no peace, but that's because of like historical wars for land. Yeah, the slow development, not until like when the resources were shared more to the other parts of the Philippines. So now it's more progressive, especially when Duterte became the president, and a lot of businesses have been like moving to Davao. And so when I went home, it's more developed. But I hate the traffic now because it wasn't prepared for that much traffic and development. So Dario is from Florence, Gideon is from Davao.
So I missed the point because you said it right. Like we were speaking about origin, so it's not like the place where we're living right now. And when you brought up,
you want to add?
Yeah, because you brought up tribes and you brought up cultural presence, but I was born in the southern floodplain of River Arno, which is not Florence. It's a city nearby, well, a town nearby that it's called Figline Valdarno. And I think there is that kind of misconception towards like people from big cities towards small province towns, and the same applies with Figline Valdarno and people from Florence or Prato, that has been my hometown for 25 years basically, in which they think, oh, there's less development there, it's all rural, it's just fields and people are growing stuff. But all in all, today it's like an industrialized district, and it's totally good and pretty easily reachable too by car or train from the main centers. And but my family have always lived in Prato, so it's like 20 kilometers north from Florence. In Italy, we have this division between region, county, and municipality. So Prato is the smallest county in Italy, and it's because it's compressed between two big counties that are the one of Florence and the one of Pistoia. But regarding territory and climate, I think it's a good compromise between, because it's a floodplain and it's surrounded by mountains. So you have air coming in, like the wind from the Vicencio Valley. There is a river that flows in, so it brings some like fresh air and also some exchange for the air quality. So it's pretty good. And given that these days Bangkok air is pretty toxic, the bringing up the air quality topic, I think it's relevant, because Gideon is idealizing his bucolic age in the Philippines, but now it's like, oh, Thailand is welcoming me.
Yeah, now that you pointed it out, I realized that I lived more in Bangkok than Tacloban City, right? It's about 8 years now in Bangkok. So, and I'm more matured also when I was here, so it's, I think I have, oh no, I won't say that I have been influenced by Bangkok that much. Because it's difficult to penetrate culture if you don't know the language, I'd say. So, wait, how long have you lived in Prato and also in Florence?
Yeah, I just basically I just moved to Florence because I moved in like 4 years ago. It was the second phase of pandemic 2021, when I bought the house where I'm living right now. But before that, I've always lived in Prato. And let's say, excluding the part in which I was at university, that I lived in Trento, which is the northern part of Italy, and during my exchange year periods at the university. But all in all, like, my hometown has always been Prato. I think.
I didn't expect. Sorry.
No, no,
Continue.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead. I have a question for you.
I when I was planning about the outline, I didn't expect us to have like two origin, or but this might be more interesting. What were you saying?
No, it's fascinating to me understanding, like, imagining how did you move from Tacloban to Davao, like it has been more than 20 years ago. So which medium of transportation did you use back then? Like, how did you bring your stuff with you? Was it like a family pilgrimage? Tell us about it.
So in the past episode, I told you we keep moving houses to houses, right? So I think it was on our third house. It was evening, and that's the place where Danica was born. It was evening. Parents rented a big truck. Our neighbors helped us move our stuff and put on the truck. Our neighbors were saying goodbye, and it was just a big road trip from the middle island to the south. Yeah, it was still vivid in my memory.
Was the truck like open, like the back part of the truck?
It was open at the back, yeah. So we were in the front. And how about you? How was your move from Prato to?
It was very effective, like, and quick, because I already had my own car. I travel with little things, so like, and my car is a fat one, so it has a lot of internal capacity.
Is it Merida?
Meriva, yes, that's the one.
Mm. And were you alone when you moved, or were your
Yeah,
families
no,
moving?
I was alone. Like, I could move very quickly and easily, and the most fun part was bringing the sofa in. That was hilarious. But I bought it secondhand, and it was a place nearby, so I just needed to drive for a kilometer with my back trunk open. It was fine.
So when we were moving, the feeling I remember was like excited because it was my friends like saying goodbye to me. It was just like light, and it's like, oh, new adventure. Blah, blah. But how about you? What was the feeling when you were moving alone to a new place?
Yeah, honestly, I never experienced the rooting feeling of being part of a place fully, so that you have these detachment complex of like, oh, like, I'm losing my roots or my foundation. I'm more thrilled by the idea of change rather than sticking to a place. So I always have pretty excited memories of like, oh, I'm approaching this new journey in my life, so I'm ready for it. And honestly, I always feel energized, like, since it involves like physical activity, moving stuff, decluttering. It feels that I have things under control, so it's energizing rather than depressing.
I don't have that sense of home. Maybe because we keep moving. Also, that home is not really the location. It's more of like maybe the feeling and the people that you are with. Could see that not only with family but could be with friends too. But going back to just introduction of the countries, or just what do you love the most about Italy or Florence?
I think it's really the good blend between quality of life and access to beauty. Like, not only you're living in a beautiful country that has a lot of diversity and is within reach, but also the pace that you have in your life allows you to experience that. Or maybe I've always been part of a social class, or my cultural attitude is always the one to say, oh, I have time, energy to explore that. So it's really part of my identity to say, oh, like, I want to explore my surroundings, because it's on one hand part of my culture, like, at least I know, and if I know, I can report to others, I can inspire others by joining. But also it molds the brain attitude towards the place where you're living, because it's not just a place where you find refuge from something. It's really a place where you thrive. But to understand that it's a place where you thrive, you need to explore the place yourself. and to understand which are your reference points, what are the places that energize you. And I feel that both the tourist attitude or the people that are moving too easily are missing a bit on this part, because they don't give themselves the chance of seeing Italy as really a place that offers like diversity in the sense of there is room for everybody to feel at home.
Well, sorry if if no, because I've traveled last year to different cities and countries in Europe. As a tourist, it's the time is only limited to really immerse yourself. So you suggest people to go back.
Of course, and like
And
slow pace so that you can really
mm,
go off track and understand what works for you. Because I feel, for
mm,
instance, in Bangkok or in the Philippines instead, there is a bit more, it's more homogeneous, like the kind of environment that you have around you. So I wonder, like, how that impacted you? Like, on one hand, it must have been kind of familiar because it's like tropical climate again, and like urban dwellings that are pretty like with the same arrangement. But I wonder, like, how do you feel, why do you feel that the Philippines or Bangkok are good places to live if you label them as such?
so Davao is a very clean city, not as developed like the bigger cities in Asia. Just naturally, it's very clean, and also the government has pushed for laws that you cannot smoke anywhere, and the drinking, and I think the curfew also help make people have discipline. So I'd say it's cleaner compared to other and more organized compared to other cities in the Philippines. Well, Davao is it's a slow pace, I'd say, and laid back compared to like Cebu or Manila, wherein like people go there for job opportunities. Um, Davao is just growing right now. And also, since we have different tribal groups and religious communities, people are more tolerating and nice. I want to say more bad, but it's okay. I'll stop there for Davao. And then for Bangkok, Bangkok is, I'd say, a more effectively planned Manila. There's the convenience is there with the transportation, technology is there. I'd say opportunities and also education is so much better. The good thing for me is that since I'm an expat, so I'm paid better while I still have that familiarity living in Bangkok.
I didn't understand the self censorship about not bringing up the bad parts of your city. What's the problem with that?
I'd put that in the next part, Mahan.
Okay, okay. Because already the word curfew activated me. I was ready to unleash my
Oh,
democratic spirit to be brought up.
oh, no. Because Davao City, as I told you, there were like unrest from people want to grab lands to own, and so Davao City was a very resource abundant city. So many people want to take Davao, and so there were killings, there were gang wars. Yeah, when we moved there, a lot of news of like people getting killed and thrown on the curb on farms. So when the Duterte administration, I know it's very sensitive and political, but I experienced the positive effect of that kind of dictatorship of like putting up curfew, because that was for the safety of the people at that time.
Okay, I want to
I know
understand
your face.
more. Like it's so controversial, but yeah, let's leave it for another time where we do more research about the topic that we're picking up.
Mm.
So let's keep it light. Okay, so I guess that the next question was all about the bad sides of the places where
No,
we're
not yet,
staying.
not yet.
No.
Just to give a context, so Dario, what was your experience in the Philippines? Have you been to the Philippines before?
Yeah, yeah. I've been last year, but I just stuck to the island of Luzon. So the one of Manila. I landed in Ninoy Aquino, and I was already so stressed because it was people everywhere, confusion, Jollibees haunting me, like traffic everywhere. To cover 7 kilometers by car, it was like 2 hours and a half of drive, like crocodiles on the streets to try and fine you because they wanted to stop you just because you were white. So yeah, I was experiencing a full Manila vibe. But then the escape to the city was from the city was such a relief. Like it was beautiful to be blending with nature, like tropical climate so exotic. And I visited Lake Tal and Danilo, Batangas, Tagaytay. It was fantastic. But really, the Philippines left a trace in me, meaning that I understood the power of nature when it comes to molding your life experience. Like it demands a lot because like you're sweating everywhere, and nature is really the ruler there, so you can't mess up with like insects or diseases. You really should be mindful and paying attention, but at the same time what you get in return is extreme lushness and beautiful colors, and a biodiversity that's astonishing. So it's something that when you are in a more man-made or man-controlled scenario or environment like Europe that has been mm, colonized, let's say, for many centuries already, the environment it's kind of scarred by these presence. So on one hand, it's the richness of the place, like you have historical heritage everywhere, and you see the man-made works that are a beauty on its own, but at the same time is limiting the natural experience of what man can live there. So the experience in the Philippines was really teaching me that, oh, there's a whole new world that is there to explore. I wish I just had a magic carpet just to float around and to avoid all the scorpions and snakes and bad bugs that might be on the ground.
What was the best part of your experience being in the Philippines?
Yeah, so I remember when I was in Anilo, it was funny because I really was as excited as a kid to go into the water, but I was totally forgetting about the concept of tide. So it was low tide, and the coral reef was so like developed and really in front of the resort. So I went right into the water, but I got cut so many times because the corals were so close to the sea surface. But the enthusiasm wasn't fading away because I saw a marine turtle that was like swimming next to me, and was really heartbreaking because the marine turtle had in the beak like a plastic bag. So it really was like dealing with the reality of, oh, like there is so much marine life, and like everything is thriving because of the good conditions, but these conditions are kind of ruined by the man-made activities, and maybe not directly there because that area itself had just a few like fisherman boats, so maybe it wasn't the impact that was made there, but somewhere close that would be brought to that part.
Mm.
So on one hand, I really was, my heart was warm since the moment I went into the water, but at the same time I realized, oh, like we have the power to destroy it all, and actually we're doing that already. So pretty intense experience.
Yeah, I concur that the coral reef and the ocean in the Philippines is really beautiful. Cannot compare it to the ones in Thailand. It's on a different level, I'd say. But unfortunately, the conservation is not on high standard, so it's such a shame that we're not protecting it as much as we could.
Yeah, I think the concept of global impact really is seen over there. Like on one hand, you really feel interconnected, like you feel, oh, I have the chance of experiencing this, there's life over there that I have the chance to see, but as well my wealth and my power has the impact to destroy it all if I don't do that right. So you're like watching sunset in these beautiful resorts, like poolside, living the best life, having the best food, but at the same time that comes at a cost. And in this kind of society, having kind of a sustainable or respectful type of vacation or experience is always linked to high end experience. So rather than being simple and close to like local resources, you always need to go to high end facilities or resorts just to get the sustainable experience. And when I went to Bangkok to visit Gideon instead, I have the feeling that the more high end facilities you go to, and the more they clear up the facade, like they don't let you see the effect that
The real
luxury
thing.
has on their environment. And that's
Yeah.
something that I really find it tough to
Mm.
endure. But at the same time, I'm the first
Mm.
one who's enjoying the nice streets. So I'm a contradiction
The,
myself.
the irony. I've backpacked in the Philippines for a few years too. I'd say we have options for everyone, but the question is, would you be willing to lower your standards to experience it, immerse in the more natural way,
I think I need to
economical
be
way?
reassured by the sense of safety. So if I am with a local that takes the lead, I really have nothing to worry about. And I lived that already when I went to Mexico, like to visit a friend that I met in Erasmus. Like I was in Mexico City, I was in the southern part of Mexico, but still under his guidance, I really could be under full control and at ease, despite the maybe simple
Mm.
conditions that we were experiencing.
Mm. Ooh, exciting. The next trip. My first time visiting Italy was part of my big European trip last July as my birthday gift to myself, and also finally leaving Asia for the first time. I visited Milan, Florence, and Rome. And then that's when I met Dario. My eyes were really just wide open, seeing those architectures and the artworks that I've only read and saw online and on books before while studying in art school. At the same time, because it's too much art and aesthetics and architecture, I've grown like full of them after a few days or weeks. It's like, oh, another museum, oh, another church. But yeah, it's the same feeling as seeing new temples in Asia. It's like, oh, it's the same architecture, the same Buddha statue. It was overwhelmingly good, but it's really, it's a fulfilling to experience and see it like in person. And it's expensive when you travel without a local because you only know what media is feeding you. It's like, oh, you need to go here, you need to do this and that. When we did it, when I was with you and we did it in a different way, you could enjoy Italy in a more practical sense too. When I was traveling alone, it was very fast paced because, oh, I need, if you have seen my Google sheet of my travels, it's all packed. Go here for coffee and croissant. Go to a park. Go to a museum. Go lunch here, and then at night drink, and then visit this place. So it's all packed. I'd say it was better when you helped me like slow down, and yeah, when we went to Michelangelo Square and just me staring at the city view, people watching. It was a good experience. Comparing the three cities I visited on the first time, I hated Rome and Vatican because it's so packed. I'd say it's like a Disneyland commercialized church. It's for money, business. It's from the tour guide that Italy is getting so much money from just Vatican because of the tourist that visits the church. They earn millions every day. And plus, why I hated it because during that time it was so hot, so it wasn't enjoyable for me. Florence and Milan was better.
I can sense like the level of exhaustion from your words is like you were fueled by gelato, and it was the only way that could let you go on and keep on enduring the heat and the crowd. But yeah, that's also sad to hear because I feel that beyond this feeling of commercialization, there is so much to feel and to experience, and this is something that you really have the chance of getting when you're visiting off season. Like I remember I went to Barcelona in 2020, like beginning of 2020, and it was already the first hotspot of COVID spreading through Europe. So a lot of people weren't even leaving for their trips because there was this panicking of, oh, what will happen if the pandemic becomes real? So I had the chance of being in Barcelona like before the pandemic started, so with no restrictions, but with much less tourists around because people were generally scared of going around. So, and I remember entering the Sagrada Familia, which is one of the masterpieces of Barcelona, and like the architecture was astonishing, and there was these stained glass like playing with the light that was coming in, and it was a very spiritual experience and an artistic one too. But I felt that I could sense that only because I had room to go around, silence around me.
Mm.
It was a very peculiar moment. So, uh, like as a, my personal commitment, I also have the one of bringing you back to those places with a new narrative. But I know that you are kind of prejudicial about those places because you will have explored them already. But my personal quest is really to bring you back, and in maybe off season or off peak, so that you can sense
Mm.
the feelings that I felt with less heat, less people, better food, and less media pressure.
I could share the extreme opposite of what you experienced in Barcelona in Paris in the Louvre, because I was expecting like, oh, I'm gonna see the Mona Lisa, I'm gonna explore the gallery, like how I experience galleries. Like I'm reading the descriptions, I'm observing the work, but with the amount of people, you just can't do that. And despite having noise canceling headphones and playing like calming music, no, you can't, because it's just so many people, overwhelming and overstimulating. So yeah, I just, after visiting the Mona Lisa, the Egyptian pieces, I just went to Starbucks and decompressed because it's just too much. Yeah, I wasn't even there for like an hour because it was just too much. So maybe, well, but I don't believe there's an off-peak season in the Louvre. But hopefully to visit Paris with you. I don't mind visiting those places again because with you it will be, I know it will be a different, memory or experience.
Starbucks as a safe space is really letting my heart bleed. I really,
Why?
it's like capitalism triumphing. It's so sad.
Yay!
Wow. Okay.
Yay!
I will need to
No,
process
but
that.
you know my goal before, right? The orange coffee. I wanted to try the different orange coffee version of different cafes.
Did you manage
So
to try one in
yeah,
Paris?
yeah, but I have to do it my own because they don't mix it for you compared to Thailand where they make it for you. So I had to order one espresso, and then the orange juice bottle, and to mix it. So yay! I don't know if it's a hot take. Orange coffee is good. It's an acquired taste for other people. Okay, back to the flow. Or you have a question? What's your question?
No, I have the question because it's like Paris. Wow, it's so different from what Bangkok or Davao or the Philippines is. And the fact that in your mind, like the memory of being traumatized by the crowd that was in the Louvre is really heartbreaking. So if you had the chance of exploring Europe on your own, coming from Asia, and you're going back with this feeling, I wonder how many people went through the same. And it's really heartbreaking because it's like, oh, you're missing the whole point. So it's really beneficial, this conversation, because with the community that I'm part of, the Global Shapers one, where we're thinking about doing some project about sustainable tourism, and I think it's really relevant as a problem to tackle. Otherwise, people are really just missing the point while being in Italy or everywhere in Europe of the heritage value that's there. Like they're really missing the point. Okay.
As a local, what are some bad that you could share so people would know what to avoid or to kind of understand so they know what to expect visiting Italy for the first time?
I think you brought that up, like prioritizing things in Italy, like making a list of what to do and it's not relevant to be done. It's a real challenge because you're like overstimulated by information. Oh, like I should eat this, I should visit that, and that can be so stressful because you're compressing so much into such a short time. So for me, a total no is to skip the natural parts that really, like, where most of us are living in a urban setting already. So we're daily stressed by traffic and noise and fast pace. So when you're traveling, the thing that you should prioritize the most, like as a form of escape, is to cherish the natural part of the country that you're visiting and immersing yourself in that. So even if you're going to a big city, if you rely on public transportation and you miss the chance of walking around, for instance, to me it's already a big no, because you're missing the feeling of getting home, getting to your hotel or to your Airbnb tired after a day of exploration. I don't want people to be tired just because they have been queuing for so long, or because they wanted to take that specific picture, or because there was too much crowd around. I want people to be stressed because, oh, I'm sweaty because I've been walking around. Oh, like my feet are hurting because I've been walking around. That's really something that I want people to embrace. And especially Asians, I think, since they are coming from tropical climates usually, they're so scared about the concept of fatigue, like physical fatigue. For them is such a no. And so I see a lot of people taking like the hop on hop off buses or private rides, and I think they're missing the beauty of it. That's my take from Dictator Dario.
Well, the walking part, I'd say I got the highest number of steps when I was in Europe, even more than Japan. Because the positive side is because your city and the countries are very walkable compared to other, like Philippines or Bangkok. Plus, the weather also is conducive for that kind of activity. And there's just so many things that you can see or experience just by walking. Especially if you're a photographer, you would love it. And with a coffee in your hand, and how much more if you have someone's hand walking right at night under the stars. Well, for the Philippines, if you're traveling for the first time, I'd say just first is, I won't say this is a warning, but the traffic is really bad. Especially if you're gonna use public transportation, don't expect an easy commute. If you can have a private car or motorbike at some province or city, it would be better. And also research which areas are safe, because there are still provinces that are, even for locals, is not safe. Mindanao and a bit of Visayas. And then water. Some cities, it's advisable for you to drink from bottled water and not from tap. You might get sick. Are you like a mosquito prone person or no? If you're a bug prone person, bring your repellent. On a more positive side, just be open to experiences, and with the exotic fruits and food too, it's really different compared to the is offered in Europe, and it's cheaper too. So you'll get the most out of your money when you're visiting. For street food, be careful. But hey, it strengthens your gut, right? And language wise, most people speak English and they will try to help you. It's so easy to just ask someone for help for direction, and we would go out of our way to help you. Maybe that's in our people pleasing and colonized mindset. But yeah, Filipinos are really helpful and warm. Oh, and please avoid the bigger cities. Please avoid. Oh no, not avoid. You can experience Manila or Cebu, but if you can leave or go to the nearby provinces, it would give you a better experience too. But depending if you're a city or a nature person, you're thinking.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about how much of this is really a threat to traveling. Like maybe it's really part of the essence of traveling to endure with these potential threats or concerns, because it's really what a travel originally was associated with. Right now, we're used to think of traveling as just mere commuting to visit landmarks. And that is kind of making the experience dull in itself. Like, we're not meant to travel just to see things that we're expecting to see in a certain way. Like you said with the Mona Lisa, like it's about leaving the both the struggles and the ups of being in that place. It really means to mingle with that place. So honestly, that's how I felt in the Philippines too. Like arriving in Lake Tal, and really there's no point of reference around. It's kind of a gloomy day. The volcano erupted a few days back. You arrive to this fisherman like pier, And of course, the fishermen don't know how to interact with you in English, so you need a person that kind of expresses themselves in Tagalog. And you are on a bike that is made of resin, and it's really like unsafe, or potentially can break just by looking at it. And you're surrounded by tilapia feeding boxes, but in front of you you have this majestic volcano, and it starts raining. And you only feel the sound of rain and the warmth of rain on your skin, but at the same time you're perceiving danger around you because there might be a snake on the island, or yeah, like there is mud, so you can be stuck in there. The fishermen can just take advantage of you and just bring you there, and who cares? So it was really the peak of the traveling experience, because it was immersing in a situation in which you're exploring. So the focus is on exploring, is not about checking boxes. So yeah, I really wish that people, when they were coming to Italy, they would enter into this mood of like, oh, I don't want to check boxes, but I need to feel that I'm in Italy, to feel that I'm experiencing something authentic.
Oh yeah, I forgot to add, like, the weather can be unexpected.
I think it can change very rapidly. Like, it's an island in the middle of the Pacific, so you're better. But you see, like, even the surprise of a storm, like it's part of the fun. Like you're not concerned, like suppose you're rushing to work and you get wet because of a sudden storm. That's bothering to you because, oh, like my clothes are wet, I'm going to be wet all day. And instead, when you're in exploration mode and you're traveling, it's like part of the fun, because it's like, oh, I'm feeling alive just because my clothes are sticking to my skin. And it raises the adrenaline feeling. So really, it's one of those blissful moments in which you feel alive, and in which your body responds to your needs, because your body is bringing you places and is functional for you to visit stuff. So
It adds more memory to the experience,
right,
right? It's more
because it's
memorable.
more
No.
comprehensive. It
Mm.
activates different parts of the brain. It's not just like by looking at the Mona Lisa, but you need to isolate yourself from stimuli. No, like you're embracing the stimuli that you have around you. And I feel so angry when you quote that, because it's like, oh, you're kind of polishing the experience so that it matches your expectations. And it's so frustrating because, no, of course, like each experience of visiting the Mona Lisa should be different. Yeah.
I want to share, when there's a typhoon or storm, when you're working, yeah, it's frustrating. There will be flood and you can't go to work, get wet. But as a student, we would be expecting the news, oh, schools will be closed today or schools will be closed tomorrow. So we have a question that goes, are the blackboards wet tonight? Because before there was no whiteboards or projectors. It's always green boards or blackboards, right, with a chalk. So whenever it's wet by the rain, a lot of schools were built that rain can get in the windows and it would wet the room and the boards. So the next day, there's gonna be no class because they will have to wait for it to dry. So we were, yeah. Even when we were changing to our uniforms in the morning, we're still gonna wait for the news. Classes are canceled. And yeah, it's really one of my favorite memories when I was when I was a kid.
How they would communicate to you that the schools were closed? Was it by radio, by
They would put it on news.
TV?
By TV news.
TV.
Yeah, by the local TV. And or friends from another school would tell you, oh, our schools are closing, so you will expect also that your school will be closing on that day. But I'm sad nowadays you can't get away with that anymore. So how would you describe you as a traveler?
I think I should distinguish the attitude that I adopt when traveling, because, for instance, when I'm traveling to visit friends or for to meet a person, then the person plan becomes the priority. So I'm really adapting to the situation that I'm finding there. And it happened many times in the past in which I was going to visit a friend that was studying or a friend that was working. So I would adapt to their schedule, so that I would do the things that I was inspired to doing during their studying or working time, and then I would join them by the night or during the morning. So the kind of traveling that's adapting to the needs of the fellow travelers, let's say. When it's my let's say, solo journey or solo trip. I had very little of them, but I think what I try to prioritize is really the life experiences. So just getting there and mingling and understanding what's the country about. So both in terms of food, I love walking around. I love getting home exhausted because I've experienced so much of that place. And plus, I want to have the bigger picture. So it's hard for me to stick to a place and deepen the knowledge of that place for so long. I prefer just to visit different places, maybe with organized tours and stuff, so that I can have kind of an overview of what's there, like in the neighboring parts to offer.
Are you more on the practical side or you splurge when you travel?
To me, traveling was always indulging towards myself. Like I've been used to travel with my parents since I was little, and it was always very comfortable places in which everything was set for us. So, on one hand, I can value that and I'm actively looking for that. But on the other, if I'm missing the authenticity of the place, like that's a no for me. So I want to merge these two requirements. On one hand, the authenticity, and on the other, the comfort associated to that, because otherwise, like when it's too extreme, it's another kind of trip. Like I don't need to cross the world to get the extreme feeling. I can have it also next to my place, but there is a different priority scale.
I think you know already that I'm a very organized um, traveler. I like to plan and research as much as I can just to avoid probably unexpected stuff. Well, top priority maybe is safety and practicality. And before, I was more tolerating with the difficulty of traveling, but now I'm kind of valuing like, oh, you can also, it's okay to splurge for comfort. And I learned from you that, oh, it's actually better to have a breakfast with the Airbnb or the hotel included. Because before I just go out and it's part of my adventure of the day already, like looking for food. But yeah, I saw the value of like having food ready for you in the morning. Yeah, I tried with my backpacking adventure before. I experienced like sleeping on the police station, sleeping on the floor at the airport, getting sick. I think also with age, it's difficult to do that now. Like also like bringing a big bag like with you for weeks. So try to stay on the budget as much as I can. But usually I go overboard, especially if like food, the Florentine steak, and cakes and desserts. But I don't splurge on souvenirs anymore. Before I used to like, oh, pasalubong, pasalubong, pasalubong. But now it's less. It's only for specific people now. I think if it's my first time traveling, I still have a checklist of what I want to do and visit, but I try to leave some time also to have a more free flow and rest. And after my that big European trip, I learned the value of having a rest day wherein you don't plan on that specific day. Maybe after 3 or 4 days of full on like adventure, you have a day that you're just recovering your energy and planning for the next chapter of the trip.
You kind of anticipated the last question that I want to bring up, because just so that the audience knows, like for the travels to be afforded for a standard person, you need to work hard. So part of the weekend routine of mine involves that, so that in April I can do the trip to join Gideon. Um, I wanted to bring up the relationship that because at the beginning of the podcast we spoke about origin and stereotypes related to our hometowns, and then we transitioned into traveling. So I wanted to kind of bridge these two worlds to wrap up this session of the podcast. And so you said that you are usually a very organized person, that you want to anticipate stuff so you can avoid problems and make the experience comfortable. So how did traveling shed a light on how you used to be when you were back in your hometown, maybe younger, with a different attitude? Did traveling made a significant change in who you are as who you used to be as a person in your hometown, and how did it do it?
I think with my mindset on what the world is, because coming from a smaller province, you think that what's in front of you is what the world is, only like the religion or like the dynamics of people relationships. But then when you start traveling, it really opens up your mind And me leaving the Philippines, it confirmed like, oh, there's more religion and people can live like peacefully even if you have different mindsets or beliefs or religions. And uh, I was happy that that was maybe strengthened and also confirmed that mindset of mine, especially like gender and sexuality, which is taboo thing in the Philippines because of the Catholic influences. But going out from the Philippines, we seeing a lot of transgenders being accepted and not stigmatized. Bangkok or in Thailand, it's an eye opening. Plus, going to Europe, where in PTA people can express their love freely.
So what you're saying is more of a kind of a cultural attitude, and it expanded your identity. Like you felt freer to be in touch with your deeper emotions because of the environment that you were into. I think it kind of applied to me too, because uh, what's to me the word that associated with traveling is curiosity. So when you are in your hometown, you're kind of in a protected bubble in which you know what's right, what's wrong, what's acceptable, what's not. And instead, by traveling, you just pinch that bubble and it explodes. And on one hand, it makes you feel, oh, like I have no reference points anymore, because different people are living in different ways, and still there is thriving, there is acceptance, there is the same human struggles everywhere. But that's kind of uplifting and comforting too, because you can say like, oh, no matter what is my framework of action, I can feel home no matter where I am, as long as I'm coherent with this framework of action. And the powerful thing is that traveling allows you to expand this framework of action so that you can adapt to different places too. So that's something that I experienced, for instance, in my exchange periods during universities, in which I saw different ways of acting in Spain, in Portugal, in the US. So that was very, very insightful. So manifesting for both of us in the near future, an adaptation, yeah, and also to influence each other positively when it comes to the curiosity, right? Like by being curious with each other, we can find out that it's okay to to have different human expressions, no matter our.
Yeah, I'm also an advocate of, oh, go out of your comfort zone and go on adventure, experience the world. It's a double-edged sword wherein you're continually expanding your horizon or your worldview. But then is there an ending, or would you be always chasing that widening of your view? Because I see the value of also, because people, some people are just in their hometown and they're okay, they're happier with life. But when you start chasing like the world, sometimes it's like a never ending journey, and maybe you'll be frustrated maybe, or get exhausted of trying to see more or to expand your map.
I think you quoted it yourself. Like you reach a point in which sustainability is the key. So you said it with the splurging, you said it with the backpacking. Like up at a certain point, you realize that there are some things that you can compromise, and some others that are really like pillars of your experience. So I am manifesting for both of us the definition of these very big and diverse house in which we have reference points, but there's always room for like an open door for something new to enter.
I feel so, I don't know, privileged now that we get to tell these stories. Yeah, I'd say traveling is really a luxury. Not all people can really experience that. Yeah, I wish to still be healthy and to have the opportunity of work so that we can sustain these and journeys and adventures together.
Let's work hard for that. I think we owe that to each other for the sake of curiosity and embracing life. So yeah,